It's a facility in the Chesapeake Bay region, which summers, my grandparents lived on Chesapeake Bay, so visited all the time.
Oh, all right.
I'd visit them in the pit. My grandpa had mods. So
I hope they survived the blast.
Yeah, I know. Oh, fingers crossed. Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about The Expanse, Season 5, Episodes 3 and 4, Mother and Gaugamela. All right, we open with Avasarala and Delgado. They're meeting up with a scientist about the asteroid fragments that were identified by the science vessel that was destroyed at the very beginning of the season. The scientist notes that the pieces all have peculiar readings only on one side, and agrees it's possible that the fragments were all originally part of the same asteroid. Avasarala and Delgado...
he's not even, he can't even conceive of what it could mean. So
right, that's true.
That's the amusing part. That he's
like, well, sure.
Our planets would be able to stop it with our defense system. Well,
yeah,
okay,
right.
Let's say...
Right, you're right. They're like, theoretically, let's assume these are all kangaroos, and they're hopping. You're like, okay, sure. Why not? These kangaroos. So he validates their theory.
I think they don't need to even tell him, okay, you can't tell anybody, because he is clueless.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. In some other stories, that plotline might be like, oh, and then the scientist told... But no, this guy, it's so over his head. He's like, I don't know. They showed me a picture. I was like, well, okay, well, give me a drink. So Avasarala and Delgado are very close to the truth. She says, hey, Delgado, I need you to retask the satellites to search for these asteroids. He is reluctant, and we find out he's kind of unable to get that job done.
Because he's not doing it. He's to tell other people to do it.
Right. So we end episode 4 with Marco Inaros giving his supervillain speech to the world, to the universe, to the galaxy, whatever.
That hell, I did that.
Yeah, right. He claims responsibility for what at this point has been 3 asteroid strikes.
Yes.
And he says that if he's attacked, he's got his newly acquired proto-molecule that we'll talk about, and he will unleash it on whoever attacks him. Yes. So that's his defense mechanism. So that's where we are. As for the titles, Mother and Gaugamela, episode 3 titled Mother, I believe that is a reference to Drummer. That episode has a lot, doesn't necessarily center entirely on Drummer, but we see Drummer find Ashford's ship, also finds this hidden recording that Ashford made of his final moments, which include Marco not giving 100% of the game away, but basically giving the game away as to what his plan is. And so she then sends that to Fred Johnson, who then, I believe, sends it to Avasarala. She is getting that message right around the same time that the first asteroid hits Earth. But so that's very important info, obviously, for later. Drummer then, obviously a very emotional thing. She hears her dear friend die on a recording. She's very upset about that, and she decides she's going to go after Marco. She puts it to her crew as, hey, we're going to get the bounty, but it's revenge. I mean, she wants revenge. The crew isn't completely sold on the idea. There's probably various reasons. Some of them are like, we die, right?
But others are like, this is a bad
he's a belter.
Thing? What they're doing?
Right. Yeah. So I feel like there's a lot of mixed up there.
Yesterday I hated the Earth. Yeah, today too. Yeah.
And I woke up today and I still hate him. So how that develops, and obviously, one scenario is Drummer ends up being the person that kills Marco in revenge for killing Ashford. That could happen, but she's going to have to convince her team that that's the way they're going. So anyway, it's interesting to see that dynamic, but I think that's the origin of the name of that episode. Sure. The 4th episode, called Gaugamela. Gaugamela is referring to a battle fought by Alexander the Great. He was vastly outnumbered, but his superior tactics helped him defeat the Persians, which crippled their empire. Obviously, this is, I guess, Marco is perhaps might put himself in the position of Alexander the Great in that scenario. So, no ego there, if that's the case.
No.
But what are your thoughts, good sir, episodes 3 and 4?
Particularly impressed, one of the things I think we can see here when you have a television show that's based on another work that's really, been thought out and, that has a lot of...
Right, a well-crafted work that, right.
Yeah, where they're not afraid to have major events happen that can change everything.
It's such a great point.
The basic premise of the show, where Earth is, a place where all this power is, and then to destroy, or not destroy, but damage it severely at this stage.
True, and we also see that the UN president Gao is killed along with almost her entire staff.
Yes.
So this is a major development certainly happened in these 2 episodes.
Yes.
Pushes the plot forward quite a bit. And right, to compare it to, say, like Game of Thrones, where I think most people would agree that when they were within the confines of the books that had been written, the show felt like a better written show than when they passed the books and started writing their own thing. That seemed to be where the show took a little bit of a nosedive in terms of dialogue, in terms of plot. And so this show has this great anchor that is the written material.
And wisely has at least one of the original writers involved, if not both of them,
right,
in the making of the show. So
thumbs up to that for sure.
Yeah.
One of our commenters, Justin, asked me, was interested to see who I was going to mat. We talked last week about who are you going to mat? And I was like, I'm still trying to remember who the hell's who. Interestingly, I didn't mat Fred Johnson. I'm not taking credit for that.
That's
but I
part
did.
of why I asked. Because it's like, you better act fast, man. You can't just, wait around.
I will say, he was the guy that I said, if you're in a story and the hero says, hey, here's a warning, don't do that thing you're going to do. And you're like, But in my head, it was going to be like, I open the proto-molecule and it kills me or whatever. But I didn't see that I'll just get shot by a mole. But anyway.
Yeah.
So I do have someone that I'm matting. I'll give you my little background here real fast. First of all, I feel like most of the leads have plot armor. And obviously there's an exception to that, which actually was pointed out by another commenter, OS2 Tuxbird, let us know that the actor who plays Alex, unfortunately, been allegedly a lot of sexual misconduct, sexual harassment at various conventions. There was an investigation done, and the show decided to part ways with that actor, and they're not going to recast. So while Alex will certainly, I think, I'll say almost certainly survive season 5, there will not be an Alex in season 6. So, but I'm not counting that as a matting. That's just he's going to get written off the show. so in that way.
Very well done.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, I think Alex will be gone by season 6. So like Holden, Naomi, Amos, Bobby. I think Avasarala falls into that category. Those are folks that will be around. So what I got to look for is characters that are friends of those or associates of those folks. And so in that mind, I think I picked one, and it's somebody we've already talked about in this episode, or in our recap, Admiral Delgado. So here's my evidence. Delgado, working with Avasarala, he doesn't retask the satellites, and boom, 3 asteroids blow up most of Earth. He comes in,
So
he's like...
his time he's on the clock.
Yeah, yes. So he apologizes. Oh, you know what? I failed you. I was a coward, he says. And she says, I believe the quote is, the fight is not over. All right, so what that means is, you've got a chance to sacrifice yourself for Earth and or me, at some point in the future. So I feel like he's going to redeem himself. He's not going to be a coward. Push comes to shove, he's going to do something incredibly heroic and die in the process. The other little factoid I've got. This is reaching for sure, but I'm going to throw this in there. In the very beginning of episode 3, we talked about how they meet with a scientist, and the scientist is like, okay. He begins the episode by telling a joke that he doesn't do the punchline for. That is a perfect setup for, let's say, episode 10. He's dying from gunshot wounds. Avasarala, just trying to distract him from the pain, is like, hey, remember that joke you were telling me? What was the punchline? And then he tells the punchline and laughs, and then he dies heroically. That's how you do that.
Listen to you'll have the guy telling a joke die heroically.
Which, by the way,
they should have known better than trying to get something past your comedy censors.
And it's funny that you say that. I actually spent way too much time
trying to figure out
as a comedian. Correct. So I think I've actually figured out. I have 2 possible punchlines for this joke. All right. I know this is probably some of people are like, come on. Who cares? I care. Anyway. All right. So here we go. The joke.
You'll never make 2,000 now.
That's right. 2,000 subscribers is completely, throw it out the window. Okay, so just to set the tone here, the joke is a Belter, a Martian, and an Earth walk into a bar. Typical setup for a joke. Oh, yeah. Bartender asks the Belter, hey, what do you order? He says, I want a Martian whiskey, because drinking like my enemy lets me think like my enemy. And then the Martian's like, hey, I'll have an Earth tequila, because drinking like my enemy makes me think like my enemy. So, obviously, the payoff punchline would be the bartender asks the Earther, what do you have?
Yes.
All right, so I think there's 2 possible responses. One response would be, make that 2 Earther tequilas. In other words, Earthers are their own worst enemies. Maybe? No? All right. If not that one, then it would be like, hey, what do you want? Gin and tonic? Just like, while the Belters and the Martians are so busy plotting and blah, 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 blah.
He doesn't even think about them at all.
Yeah, the Earthers just like, whatever. Just get a drink. Anyway, so one of those 2, that's going to be his dying declaration.
Okay. Interesting.
In episode 10. Okay.
All right.
Spent way too much time on that, but so be it. Okay.
Yeah. Now I'm foreseeing, if you're wrong, I'm going to make a retirement announcement.
Yeah, that's right. I've turned in my comedy credentials. Okay.
Too painful to proceed with this.
Let's just set the tone for like where everybody is again in these 2 episodes. So, like for instance, Naomi is going after her son Philip, as we mentioned last time. She finds him. He kind of rejects her, but then is also like, you know what? I'm going to assault and kidnap you. And so basically kidnaps her, puts her on the ship on Marco's ship. So we have a family reunion.
Yes.
Where she's being held in confinement.
Family reunion.
And I will say, though, that they're being a little casual with her. She's not handcuffed.
Nope.
She kind of has the run of the place a little bit. I mean, she gets put in a room at one point, but anyway.
But she is friends with them, and she didn't actually have a falling out.
I would say she's friends with one of them, the big guy. I think his name is Sin or something. I don't know that she's friends with anybody else.
No, you're right, but because they did have common cause for a while. Anyway.
Right. I'm just saying, if she wanted to. Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, you could say it's Marco's hope that she'll be convinced. They keep trying to sell her on what's going on.
Right. And so we see the arc, I think, there, which is, I think she is going to redeem her son in some way at the expense of Marco, probably. I don't know. Like, in other words, Philip's going to be like, I always believed Marco, and now I see he's a dick, so maybe my mom is right, that kind of thing.
Really?
I think so, right? He grew up hearing Marco talk about how bad Naomi was. probably,
Yes.
right? So now he's meeting Naomi, and he realizes over time he's going to realize she's not a terrible person. Meanwhile, Marco has just committed genocide, and he's like, well, maybe the genocide way isn't the right way. I think it's maybe, yeah, no.
Wow.
You don't
well,
think
I
that?
just feel like he's done so much as the hand of his father to do these atrocities that it's hard for me to see how he comes back, how he decides that his father is wrong.
Well,
I almost feel like it's more likely that the father dies and then the son takes up the cause of the father.
Oh wow! You feel like he's not Kylo Ren. He's like irredeemable. He's the emperor or something. I don't know. Anyway, so okay, wow.
Either that, or
if that's
he
true,
dies.
then
either that, or the son dies because the father's.
I just feel like if you don't redeem Philip, you kind of wasted Naomi's whole purpose in going out there in the first place. I mean, it's true. Not to say it couldn't happen, but that's a really dark storyline.
No, because you wouldn't have had this extended look into what's going on unless someone was there.
I think you're saying she's witnessing it, but I feel like she's not just witnessing it.
Especially
she has an agenda.
Especially if you consider the way that the books are written is from point of view. Okay. So, they really take the point of view of the characters that they have. So,
okay, I think we disagree on this. We'll agree to disagree. I feel like if you had a storyline where she went out to save her son and then he just is like, nope, I'm supervillain, it would be really dark. And I mean, the failure of that moment would break her, I would think. Anyway, but okay. So we're in the middle of that. We'll find out how that goes.
Yeah.
Alex, while he's still on the show, he has drinks with, I think her name is Lieutenant Babbage. He learns that she's shipping out the next day, and she learns a lot about his experiences on Illis and with the ring gates and the builders and stuff. So after they part ways, Alex gets jumped, probably on Babbage's orders. I think it's fairly clear that she's working with Duarte. And so these folks jump him. They give him a truth serum. They find out information, and then they're about to kill him when Bobby shows up to save the day.
So rather uninquisitive cops come in.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh, truth serum, and they were going to shoot you in the face. Oh no.
Yeah, the truth serum to get you to tell them where the goods are. Where's your valuables? Use the truth serum.
So Bobby and Alex are going to take a ship and follow Babbage. What they assume, and I think correctly so, is that this is like a smuggling run.
Yeah.
And they are selling arms to the Belters / Marco. And so they're closing in on the network that is supporting Marco in some way.
Yes.
Amos visits Clarissa Mao, Peaches, as he calls her.
Yes.
She is in prison, the Pit. It's a facility in the Chesapeake Bay region, which summers, my grandparents lived on Chesapeake Bay, so visit all the time.
Oh, all right.
I'd visit them in the Pit. My grandpa had mods. So
I hope they survived the blast.
Yeah, I know. Oh, fingers crossed.
Now she is seriously drugged up, so they can alter the effect of her mod.
To counteract. Yeah, and we get the feeling. I think it's fairly clear that he states the reason he's there is because Lydia, the person who died, who he's visiting Earth to pay last respects, essentially. She helped him at a time when he was desperately in need, and he is now trying to be the Lydia to Peaches. So he's extending kind of the hand of a mentor to this person who I assume she's in prison for life. I don't know anyway, but
you would think.
But look, I want to be there for you. I've got other stuff to do, but if you ever wanted to call, that once a month call you get, feel free to. But anyway, he offers support. And we also see that this prison is filled with folks with mods. That's what it's for.
Yes.
And, right at the very end here, we get the second asteroid hits.
Yes.
Not the very end, but it hits the prison. Yes. And so I can assume we're going to have, it's like a video game. Like,
yes.
Riot of the Modded Prisoners. First person shooter. Boom, 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 boom. Anyway, so, there's going to be a chaos involving superhuman folks, criminals. But I guess if Amos hadn't visited the prison, well, he had to get to the prison first. But if he'd been above ground, he'd be dead. So it's kind of, thankfully, the prison was below ground.
Right. If it had been
a standard prison, he'd be dead.
If he had, without that bit of business, though, he might have left the planet, actually.
Right. It wasn't near Baltimore where he was, so probably he would have. But I'm saying, if the prison had been a standard above ground prison,
yes,
he'd be
yes. He was very lucky to be in that prison.
Yes, in that prison. We've also then got, Holden is with Fred Johnson. As we've already, said, Fred Johnson gets murdered by Sakai. And then Sakai helps this drone thing steal the protomolecule from under Fred Johnson's bed. That's where he was keeping it.
Yep.
So Marco
like
now
the Princess
has
and the Pea.
That's right. What is that thing I keep... Oh, man, my back. Oh, it's a protomolecule. Okay. Holden kind of in vain tries to stop the protomolecule from leaving.
Yes.
And keep Fred Johnson alive. Doesn't do that. I guess he does. He saves... I think he saves Bull, that other guy, because there's the team that's waiting in the shipping container. Get out of there. Get out of there. I think they get out in time. I'm not 100% sure, actually.
He does.
I do. Okay. So Holden does something successful there. Interestingly, he has to choose in some ways between protomolecule versus Monica.
Yeah, doesn't even seem to consider for a second. He's just like blam, blam, blam. Like, your friend, or no, like the reporter there is struggling. Blam, blam, blam.
I think I agree with him, though.
Oh, yes. Yes. No, considering the thing, he's like, this is the thing that I've been opposing the whole time. Why doesn't anybody listen to me?
It's another. We were just talking about this with Star Trek Discovery, but needs of the many versus needs of the few. Sorry, Monica. We do see that Monica, she's got that very handy recording eye.
Yes, she does.
So I think she was recording some of the info that Sakai was typing or whatever. Anyway, so I think we'll probably get some good info from Monica coming out of that. Justin, our commenter, asked another question other than who I've matted, which is Admiral Delgado, obviously.
That is obvious.
That is obvious. He asked a good question, which is, okay, protomolecule has been stolen.
Yes.
Marco is like, hey, I'm going to use it. If you come after me, I'm going to use it. Justin's question was, hey, since the protomolecule, the original protomolecule, already did its function, which is to create the Sol Ring, this ring gate, here in our solar system, would the protomolecule this new one do the same thing? Would it be like, all right, I'm going to start turning everybody into zombies and doing the blah, blah, blah in order to build a second gate? Or would it somehow realize, oh, you know what, my work's done. So, I don't know. Play video games. I don't even. You can plug in and you charge your phone on me. I
wonder how many would it have to kill and destroy in order to figure that out. Like, all right, almost done with the planet. Now, whoa,
oh man, yeah, right. It gets all the way to it. It's like it subsumes all this biomass. It's got blah, blah, blah. It's like, and now I'm ready to make the what? It's already there. Why didn't I look up? Oh, man.
This is not a bad planet. I think I'll just retire here.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like the end of Trading Places,
So I guess I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, me neither.
I think the implication.
I think the general idea sort of is, even if it it's dangerous.
Yeah. And maybe it's not intelligent enough to take in all the data. Maybe it's just I have a purpose. That purpose is to collect enough, mass matter in order to create this gate. So that's what I'm going to do. Get ready. Anyway, we get the idea that it's not a good thing to unleash the protomolecule when and if that happens. The UN President Gao and her staff have been blown up, and Delgado says something like, hey, we don't even know the line of succession at this point. So I think it's pretty obvious that Avasarala is going to step in this crisis in order to take command. She's already said, she managed to get to Gal, very importantly, hey, retask the satellites. Gal listens to her and, like, with seconds, manages to do one very important command, which destroys one of the other asteroids coming in. So
I mean, you can imagine the person who's tasked with making that change. Like, okay, give me a minute, all right? I'm trying to.
Exactly.
There, I've done.
That's what I was thinking.
Hello?
Like, how about this?
Hello?
When we land, I'll do fine. Like, gee, the Wi-Fi is really crappy on. Oh man. So that moment when Avasarala, Delgado, and they're all in like a bar, and they're looking up at the newscast or whatever. Yeah, it took me back to 9/11. I know.
Oh, sure.
Just that the sense of like, oh, there's a second thing, and then a third thing.
Very much like that. Yeah.
Good on the show that it took me back to that moment with this visual, but
I'd say effective. It felt that way in a different way than Battlestar Galactica did. It certainly was one of the things they talked about when that show was around that time, and so it was sort of influenced by those events. The way they were looking at the newscast, it had the same feeling. It had the same feeling where it was part of a civilization as opposed to, on ships and stuff.
Right.
It didn't have to evacuate the way that Battlestar Galactica did.
Like, I remember being, I went to work, hearing like, oh, there was some talk about, a plane, people still didn't know what was going on. I was in Kansas City at the time, and I was in this conference room with a bunch of lawyers. Turns out that some of the lawyers were from New York. They had offices in the World Trade Center, and so they turned the TV on, and so much like that scene, there was a bunch of people all dressed in tailored suits and power ties, like looking at this thing. And when the tower collapsed, I remember one of this partner who's this guy, like moments earlier, he's like, hey, here's my position, blah, 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 blah. And like he sank to a knee, and he like put his hands over his head, and it was like that anguish. And so anyway, that it captures that moment quite well in this show. So
when 9/11 happened, I worked in a bank. It was a investment bank or a trading bank, and so they had a trading floor with TVs. So I arrived at work after the first plane hit, but before the second plane hit.
Okay.
So we were watching the screens as the second plane hit, and no one even, that was like the first time people were like, whoa, is this some kind of weird accident? But obviously the second plane hit was like something.
Right. Once the second one, and for me,
and the same thing in this show where it was sort of like this second one tells you that it's not an accident. This is an attack.
Correct. Yeah, and for me it was also the first plane had hit, but they hadn't been announced that it was a jetliner. So in my mind, it was like, like a private plane. Got out of airspace and hit the big tall building. And then suddenly it was like, oh shit, a second one and it's a jetliner. So same idea of like, wait, 2 asteroids?
Yeah.
3?
Yeah.
Anyway, it captured that feeling quite well. It's very engaging. This is, the good guys are on the ropes right now in a lot of ways. Naomi is imprisoned. Amos is at the bottom of a cell that's been hit by an asteroid.
One thing I want to say is how well this. I think I was talking about another aspect, but this show is very good at bringing in characters and having them have full weight. And Sakai is just not who you would expect to be involved with this at all. And then when she turns and kills, and just it's a great performance that she comes about. And
I did not suspect her as a mole until she does the shooting. I would say this, a tip to her, she, with a few more seconds, she could have shot Holden and somebody else was off on the. She shot Fred because that was who she was told to shoot.
Yeah.
But she could have saved herself, maybe even getting captured if she'd been like, I'll just shoot Holden. And
Yeah. Yeah.
She does her job and then runs off.
Yeah.
That was very effective, and she is still around. She's not dead.
Oh yeah.
So she has still maybe a part to play even.
Yeah, we're going to see more from her.
Oh, okay then. You have seen episode 5, right? And
yes, I have
not at this point. So and
episode
episode 6 has yet to drop yet. So
correct. That'll be
as we talk.
Soon. Yep.
Okay.
We'll catch up.
Yes, we're going to catch up. Here we go. Boom, boom. So anyway, that is that. We're also going to be talking about the season finale of Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, coming up really soon. And then WandaVision drops in just over a week, I think. So anyway, we got stuff. We'll be back talking about it. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it, good sir. And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.
Bye.